The area of research I've focused on thus far has been the development of organic compounds for electrochemical energy storage applications. An example of that would be a lithium-ion battery. That's the more commonly used battery in consumer electronic devices and now in electric vehicles such as the Tesla and Chevy Volt. And my research also involves putting organic compounds into new types of batteries such as non-aqueous redox flow systems, and those are systems that are quite infantile in their development. We're one of the first groups looking at organic compounds for these systems. Redox flow batteries are of interest for connection to the electrical grid. They're a lower capacity battery, so it's not one that you would ever put in your watch or your cell phone or an electric vehicle because there's not enough power for the space. But if the lifetimes of these systems are better than in lithium-ion batteries, they could be used for longer-term storage where mobility is not important. A system that has a long lifetime, we're talking about 20 years at minimum, as opposed to a lithium-ion battery, which is probably 7 years at the best case scenario. Then the batteries can be connected to the grid to store power from renewable energy sources like solar power and wind, which currently have very little capacity for storage with our electrical grid. For the near future, I'm most excited about seeing how my materials perform in non-aqueous redox flow batteries. I think that the combination of having an organic chemistry background and working collaboratively with engineers at Oak Ridge National Laboratory and Massachusetts Institute of Technology is going to enable these collaborations to have the strength of experts on both sides of the table. I'm working with John Anthony on that project to develop electrode materials for flow batteries, where I'm working on the positive side because that's my group's expertise, and then the precursors to some of his compounds for field effect transistors and solar cells also turn out to be good negative electrode materials in these flow systems. So with me working on the positive half and him working on the negative half, and then having an expert in battery testing evaluate our materials in combination, I suspect that we'll have a high impact publication in the near future. I've created materials that have been licensed through a patent that are now being used for testing in field effect transistors, for example. That was a result of my undergraduate research. So it's a long-term fulfilling experience to think that I've done something that is important enough for someone else to invest financially. And in my own research group, I have found it very rewarding to see students realize their own success. And one student, Rachel Burrows, who's now a medical student at UK, worked on a project on developing catalysts for carbon dioxide sequestration, and that paper, it took a few years to finally get it published, but now it's a Dalton Transactions article and she's the first author, and that's the first publication from my group where an undergraduate student is the first author. That was very exciting. The University of Kentucky is a place where I was quite excited to get an interview. I didn't expect to have that as one of the 50 places I applied to. And the combination of different faculty in materials research and energy storage and collection, both within arts and sciences, but also in engineering and at the Center for Applied Energy Research, that combination allows for collaborative projects that I wouldn't have had the opportunity to participate in at other institutions.